Spill Your Guts. Spill Your Guts was one of the most recent Outsiders SMP lore streams. It was the first stream to give us a real look at what the outside world looked like, and how it functioned, and how it may function today. Along with that, it gave us a great deal of insight into both the biology and psychology of demons, confirming some long-time theories, but was also a real eye-opener into how not only Owen, but the whole world sees demons, even a possible alternative name or slur for them under Typhling. Along with this, we got the long-suspected confirmation that Guts really was trying to poison someone, and a look at Sion's opinion of us, the voices. But if you dig deeper, there is more to Owen's story than any of us may have thought. That he may be an extremist in a neutral world, that Red could be a demon seeking to escape from him, and even that dragons may have once roamed the skies of Outsiders SMP. My name is Ghost, and welcome to my theory library. The first thing I want to go over is Owen's upbringing, and also the notion at the start of the SMP that he was a hunter, not a soldier. Now with this trek to 46 days length, where he had to learn to hunt, revealed, we can understand how he thought this, but as he was from a high-ranking family, I feel like it was unlikely that he was an actual soldier before his home was destroyed. It was implied as well that the war with demons started before Owen's birth. However, I doubt this. I think that Owen was born into a family of extremists that has twisted his mind into thinking that all demons are evil, while the rest of the world is actually completely fine with them. We already know that Owen's views on demons are incorrect. However, it is likely that the rest of the world thinks that as well. You see, they could have said it was a war, but if a war had been going on all that time since Owen's birth, since the demons came out of their capital, which is the same amount of time basically, then how would there have been, so many half-demons? The other thing is that no one but Owen objected to the peace treaty that we saw. Therefore, I think this is what happened. I think Owen's father may have fostered Owen to think that demons were horrible, and was even secretly killing them, and that's what his flashback here is about. However, there were no actual wars or battles for a long time. That's why there were so many half-demons, because the demons would have integrated into society, married humans. But here, this is where the war started. But here's the thing Owen specifically mentions about the specific traits of demons that doesn't make sense. Half-demons are supposed to be meek and mild, and much rather fade into the background than fight. And even if they joined up to protect their homes, like if the humans attacked first or something, the likelihood that they do something like impale people on pikes is incredibly low. And they'd also have to be a really jacked half-demon to lift up a dead body and impale it on a pike. So that leads to full demons, and they're suddenly strong and large enough to do it. Owen says they can break a man's arm simply by squeezing. However, Owen specifically mentions them to be mild, again, and averse to combat, as well as the fact that they'd rather flee than fight. Of course, there are psychopathic outliers in every society, but to be this many deviating from normal behavior in the capital of one of the humans' districts feels unlikely. What may have happened is it may have either been a random wildfire that got out of control. Often when someone dislikes a group, they will blame them for things that they could not have possibly done, because they cannot think that there could be any other reason for this. And Owen could be hallucinating these demons because he doesn't see any other explanation for why something like this could have happened. Option B is that this was a group of extremists dressed as demons who attacked trying to stir up resentment towards demons and hopefully a war. This would explain almost everything, except for the fact that we see no one during these flashbacks, no faces or vague images, so it may be likely that Owen saw nothing and it was a wildfire and he merely thought demons did it. Whatever the case, the likelihood that his home was actually destroyed by demons is low, but that belief is very important for Owen's future. Owen may have been from a wealthy family, but they couldn't have been from the most important area. This is because it's implied by the fact that Owen just became a simple soldier, that very few people would have known of his father, despite being a military leader. However, what is interesting is how absolutely thorough and unnecessary Owen's attacks were. I referenced this slightly in the search analysis that Owen may have been attacking places he didn't need to, purely out of malice and hate, which is supported both by the fact that he called average fishermen people target practice, meaning that they were no threat and didn't need to be killed, and that demon parents quite literally used him as a bogeyman, which explains that they were not expecting to be attacked, along with the fact that Owen said that he eventually would come, which means he wasn't just trying to win a war and kill the soldiers, he was trying to eradicate a species. He also implies that half-demons stand against all that is sacred, which may imply that Owen follows some sort of religion that he is taken too seriously, and maybe what is called a fundamentalist. A fundamentalist is someone that takes their religious beliefs to the absolute fundamentals, and that is where a lot of hate crimes and such come from. And we know Owen is not the best with metaphors and such, so if he exposed to the wrong content for the wrong amount of time, he could conceivably become a fundamentalist. But even though Owen takes things very seriously, he is far from unintelligent. In this conversation with Kyle, he seems to have referenced that he was the only one there as punishment, as he said, "Did you think some of us might not have a life to come back to?" which implies that he knows, even if he gets out, that he's not going to be greeted with respect or anything, and it also means that he could possibly know why everyone else is in there. It also means that either everyone or no one was in here for punishment, and since we know Squiddy volunteered, it can't be everyone, because often when people say this kind of stuff in this kind of situation, it doesn't just mean some, as in some of the people, it means either just them or everyone. We also know that he has at least a rudimentary grasp from redstone and psychology and an advanced knowledge of tactics. What is interesting is that he knows that we, the voices, are not part of him. However, there is something I'd like to mention. If we could somehow convince C. Owen that we were indeed his subconscious somehow, he's smart. He knows his subconscious is what he actually feels, so it might just be possible to convince him not to kill anyone else, and if he believes that this is what he actually believes. Just an interesting little thing I wanted to point out. Anyway, he figured out that Guts was definitely trying to poison someone. I think there's a reason beyond what he said in the first part of the video why he went after Guts first. You see, Guts was trying to kill Red. To the best of our knowledge, Red is human, and therefore a far more valuable person to society than a demon, in Owen's eyes. And Guts trying to kill him would be no horrible things, because to him, they are trying to kill someone far better than themselves. However, how Owen acts around everyone in the clearing implies that he knows absolutely no one in it from his life before, at least the people he's seen. Anyway, I'd like to move on to Crow now. This is where I found proof that dragons may have once flown over the skies of outside SMP. Crow. It's a violent thing. Didn't used to be, and it's getting better, but at its nature, it's just different from other demons. Crow is what is called Dragonborn. For a long time, I thought this was just an expression, a figure of speech. Dragonborn are also cannibals most of the time, and while I cannot confirm whether or not Crow has ever eaten anyone, I certainly cannot prove otherwise. Owen specifically says that he has never seen a demon like Crow before. This implies that Dragonborn are incredibly rare, either a once in several generations thing, or there may only be one or two bloodlines of them, as Owen would have seen practically every type of demon in his rampages. Now, I know dragons in folklore are either presented as one of two things: powerful and wise, often in a more eastern view, or rabid and wild and dangerous, often the dragons seen in western myth. Crow seems to confine to the more wild and dangerous sort of person, which makes sense, as if he is descended from dragons, he would not have the life experience yet to be wise, but as Crow ages, it is likely that it may live for much longer than the conventional lifespan. Now, there were two factors that inched me towards believing that dragons were canon on Outsiders. First was the Ender Dragon. We have no idea whether the End is canon, although there's a lot of evidence supporting that the Nether is canon. But we do know that the End holds the one dragon in vanilla Minecraft, along with vast cities that have never been explained. It is possible that demons could have come from both the Nether and the End, but many of the End demons died out, except for a couple lines that had the DNA, somehow, of the dragon itself in them, possibly by all killing each other due to their more violent dispositions. And these remaining bloodlines eventually led to Crow. The other piece of proof is this skeleton. This skeleton looked exactly like a dragon, and is near this purple flame thing that's never been explained. Perhaps this dragon came looking for Crow since they were related, and was killed, and the purple flame is some last breath that could only take root on a specific block. This could make sense, as dragons, especially old ones, often seen as wise, and purple flames are supposed to enhance you spiritually, feels like the kind of knowledge a dragon would have. I have no excuse for not picking this up earlier, but yeah, dragons may have flown over the sky of Outsiders once. Next thing I want to touch on is Owen's conversation with Magic. Owen had a rather odd conversation with Magic. Started with him wanting just to get it over with, out of the way, then with him being interested. You know some of the questions he's asking, maybe using Magic to get to Crow. He asks about how she talks to them, and where she sees them, while also hiding it by trying to ask about everyone, which other shows how manipulative and smart C. Owen is. Moving on, I'd like to talk about Red, and what I said at the start of the video about him possibly being a demon. Now, Red has always interested me. I'm pretty sure the man sabotaged his own chip, which is why he has all his memories, which is how he references YouTube and other SMPs, and how he just does whatever he wants, as the creators can't control him. However, if Red sabotaged his chip, he would have known he was going in with Owen, a sadistic demon killer, and if he was human, he had nothing to worry about. So why does he always cover his entire body? Why did he run into the maze just weeks before Owen snapped? I think Red kept his disguise on for one of two reasons. Either he was someone Owen knew about in Owen's past life that possibly supported demons, but then why does he need to cover his own body and not just his face? Or that he is demon himself. He may have even fooled the creators, as he also took his missing poster artwork in full disguise. Could be why Owen never got memories around him, as Red would always be sure to have a sock on his face, so Owen never recognized him and the creators never gave him a memory near him. I think since he corrupted his chips, he also knows what the creators are doing, and his chip still picks that stuff up. That's how he knew earlier that they were planning to give Owen back his memory soon. That's why he left, under the pretense of looking for Apo. Because if he was just looking for Apo, then he would have gone right the next morning, with more people, which would have been safer, and have a better chance of spotting him. Additionally, Red was really good friends with Apo, the only one Apo came out to, even with his most famous line on the SMP being quite similarly, "He was my friend." This could have been because they both had secrets. Apple pulled the lever and was gay, and Red was a demon. However, demons may not come from where we think. Owen says that they come from out east. This may be a reference to the Farlands. The Farlands would have been chaotic and random like their old home in the Nether, but this is not just what I want to talk about. It now makes sense why these demons were just living in the middle of the desert, as the heat would have reminded them of the Nether. Guts also mentions that they hibernated due to the cold, which is interesting, implying that demons had the ability to slow down their metabolism to the point that they could fool senses into thinking they were dead. This means Apo being alive is possible, but very unlikely, but it's just something I wanted to mention. Then there's this part. The plot is done entirely in third person with Owen's voice. Now this could be for one of two reasons. Either A, Owen has a very, very high opinion of himself, or is being said by someone else. As for that someone, I think the most likely candidate is our good old friend Dot. Dot may be the top watcher, and it would make sense for them to narrate some big event like this for us, but no real proof here. Final thing I'm going to go over is this small part at the end of the reunion. Here it plays Soldier Poet King, a folk song, but only plays the soldier part, and there is another reference to one of the lines of the soldier, "He will tear your city down and steal your guts," where Owen said he would tear them down, with them being cities. This begs the question though, who the poet and the king is. Now I don't think this is referring to Owen, I think this may be referring to the demons. Apo is the soldier, and Red the clearing leader is king. Now as for poet, I have no idea, but just a little food for thought. Well, that's me done. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'd love to see your theories below. Anyway, see you all next time, goodbye.